This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the Monday, January 19th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story, 16 people were injured in an accident between a route taxi van and a truck at Wanstead in St. James. The accident occurred around 20 minutes to 2. The ZR was being driven by 38-year-old Corey Chase of Tudor St. Michael, and he was accompanied by the conductor and 12 passengers. 34-year-old LaRon Elliott was the driver of the truck and had one other passenger. Elliott and his passenger complained of various injuries. 4 persons were taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance, while some people were taken to the Sir Winston Scott Polyclinic by a transport board bus. Now, most of the injured complained of pains and bruises to the body. They were assessed by a team of doctors from the QEH. Acting Assistant Superintendent David Welch says that 4 ambulances, the Barbados Fire Service and the Royal Barbados Police Force responded to the call.
The agencies who responded, the Barbados Fire Service, they had 2 appliances, 9 personnel. We had 4 ambulances from the QEH. We also had 1 doctor, Dr. Barrow, from the QEH. And we had several police officers. We also had a motor omnibus from the transport board to transport the least injured. Now, as I said, there were 16. 5 of those persons, including the driver of the ZR, were considered the most serious, and they were ferried to the QES by ambulances.
And Station Officer of the Barbados Fire Service, Gordon Boxall, says that the jaws of life had to be used to remove the driver of the route taxi.
The fire service, when we arrived on the scene, we recognized that the driver of the truck was trapped. We employed the hydraulic rescue equipment and were able to free the driver. First, we removed the 2 vehicles that were more or less, entwined, so we had to separate the vehicles. And then we were able to do a dashboard roll and cut the seat of the the passenger seat, and we were able to move him through the interior of the vehicle.
Several Christchurch men and a young woman have been remanded to Her Majesty's Prison over at Dodds. This after appearing in the Oistins Magistrates Court today for multiple counts of burglary and other offences. According to police, 29-year-old Jamal Rohan Omar Lane of 1st Avenue, Vauxhall, Christchurch, 23-year-old Dario Devon Taylor of Gull Hill, Christchurch, and 30-year-old Edward Shamar Chase of Gull Hill, also in Christchurch, who were charged for burglary, have each been remanded until February the 16th. In addition, Taylor has been charged with 1 count of robbery and 1 count of serious bodily harm. Police say 23-year-old Akeem Ricardo Griffith of Montrose, Christchurch, 21-year-old Felicia Chantal Brown of Sunrise Drive, Rice's, St. Philip, and 42-year-old Sean Keena Henderson Waldron of 1st Avenue, Station Hill, St. Michael, who were also facing burglary charges, had been remanded to prison until February the 9th. Police say Brown, the lone female, pleaded guilty to a separate case of burglary and was remanded until January the 23rd, pending a pre-sentencing report. Lawmen say the 15-year-old juvenile was remanded until February 9th at the Government Industrial School at Dodds. Well, the Democratic Labour Party is not idolizing the island's first Prime Minister Errol Barrow, but rather celebrating his legacy. This from Prime Minister Frundo Stewart, who noted that Mr. Barrow demonstrated great leadership, especially during some difficult periods during his tenure as Prime Minister. His comments came during the Errol Barrow service at the Vauxhall Methodist Church, where 5 outstanding Christchurch residents were honoured.
He was in office when the first oil crisis happened, 1973 to around 1976. And we tend to forget, don't we, that Errol Barrow presided over Air Barbados around 1975, in which unemployment soared at 22%. Just Try to wrap your head around 22% unemployment in Barbados in the year 2014.
Wednesday, January 21st is the birthday of the island's first Prime Minister, who died some 27 years ago. It is also a national holiday. Prime Minister Stewart says there will be activities in all constituencies on that day. A memorial lecture will also be held at the Errol Barrow Center for Creative Imagination on Friday.
Next Friday night, at the Errol Barrow Center for Creative Imagination at the University of the West Indies, the annual Errol Barrow Memorial Lecture will be delivered by the distinguished Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves.
Opposition leader Mia Mottley has reiterated calls for the formation of an imminent persons group. She believes it's one of the solutions to help Barbados out of its current economic situation. This, she says, is possible as there are several persons who are willing and capable of advancing solutions to help the country. Ms. Mottley raised the idea last evening at the BLP St. Lucie branch meeting at the Darrell Jordan Secondary School. She says that urgent action is necessary to resolve the island's economic problems.
I am saying to the Prime Minister tonight, forget ego. Put aside the tribal politics. This country has people equal to the task. And we are saying to you, pull them and us together. Stop the bleeding.
Ms. Mottley wants Prime Minister Fundell Stewart to address the recent announcement by Sagicor to leave Barbados.
The reality is that the Prime Minister has not said a word since Sagicor has announced their redomiciling. Sagicor is as Bajan as Cuckoo was and is to Barbados. Now it is true that Trinidadians now own the majority shares. But if Bajans were to get up and buy shares in Sagicor again, eventually it could be Barbadian again. And part and parcel of our development is to discuss these things.
As the Labour Department celebrates its 75th anniversary, Minister of Labour Senator Dr. Esther Bayer says the entity continues to play a critical role in social and economic development, and she wants Barbadians to be cognizant of the role the department has played in the island's transformation.
It has many roles. There's occupational safety and health, ensuring that workplaces are safe. There's, of course, the local and overseas job placements and career counseling through the National Employment Bureau. They administer the Unemployment Retraining Fund. There's monitoring, investigating, and conciliation to ensure harmonious industrial relations, leading to the process and they're also leading in the process, rather, of labor legislation. And they're now facilitating the Employment Rights Tribunal. And that is just a condensed version of what the Labour Department does.
And speaking at a church service to mark that anniversary, Dr. Bayer said she is grateful for the state of industrial relations today, noting that Barbados remains in an enviable position.
We have a legacy of dialogue. We have a social partnership. And we do have a stable industrial relations climate, even in this economy, that allows us to work out our issues peacefully. And even when we strike, when we march, when we protest, we can do that too peacefully, and in such a way that it then allows us to be able to return to the bargaining table, even the very next day.
And we'll have more news right after the break, but first we want to get your take on this question. Do you think there's still a need for an eminent group on the economy? You can text yes or no to short code 8111, and we'll have the result for you at the end of our news.
Win a cruise this year with Byco. Just spend $10 on any Byco product and claim a scratch card. You could win 2 7-day Carnival cruises, courtesy of Foster and Ince, and 2 dinner cruises from Black Pearl Party Cruises, or one of 500 1 liters of Byco ice cream, and 1,000 Byco bandanas. See press for a list of participating outlets, or call Byco at 430-2100.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
You just got into a car accident. Now you have to fix it and you don't have a cent. Don't worry, be happy. Your home got flooded out and you've lost it all, and chances to recover start to look very small. Don't worry, be happy.
Want to live the worry-free life today? Call us at Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt. Beacon Insurance, switched on.
Fathers are being called on to be more responsible and set good examples for their children. This from the Director of Drug Education and Counseling Services, Roger Husbands. He addressed this concern while speaking at the 11th anniversary of the Drug Education and Counseling Services at the River Road New Testament Church of God.
A man takes care of his family. Thank you, man. Thank you. A man takes care of his family. A man leads his family. A man mentors his children to be just like him. But nowadays we have men who want to call the children, you dog, you nigger. I told my father stand the boy children that we're getting on partner. These men to me are still boys and have not learned the art of being mature and being responsible for those who they are in control of.
Mr. Husband says Barbados is in need of God-oriented and moral-minded parents. He adds that there is an intricate relationship to the support given by a parent to a child who is trying to overcome drug addiction.
What Barbados needs at this time is parents who will be mothers and fathers and not just parents. Mothers and fathers nurture and provide and love. Parents just pay bills. We need mothers and fathers who will love and care for the youth of our nation. You know, one of the things I always tell parents is that you will get old someday. You will get old someday, and those same children you have in your house are the ones that will have to take care of you.
Ministers of the Methodist Church will soon have a new avenue through which they can gain master's degrees. According to the President and General Superintendent of the South Caribbean District, Reverend Dr. Cuthbert Edwards, the Masters in Theological Education will come on stream from September. He explains that this is part of the Church's aim of creating capacity for leadership.
What that means is that our ministerial staff will be able to pursue a course in theological education at the master's level while remaining in their pastoral appointment, in that they will go for over a 3-year period for the summer period to pursue this course. And these are some of the areas that we have embarked upon in terms of building capacity among our staff.
It was a double celebration of sorts for 102-year-old Edith Wilkinson. A mishap resulted in the family of the former laborer missing her 100th birthday, but her life was celebrated during a Thanksgiving service this morning at the Coconut Grove Wesleyan Holiness Church. Her grandson, Ovid Wilkinson, tells CBC News the family made plans based on information on Edith's ID card, but later found out there were some inaccuracies.
She was born on January 18th, 1913, but due to a mix-up in her identification card, we missed her 100th and her 101st birthday. We were preparing for her 100th birthday in December because her ID card was carrying the 14th of December 1914, but a check with the registration department and the archive showed that she was actually born on January 18th, 1913, and baptized in February of that same year.
And Edith was the mother of 9 children, 5 of whom are deceased. She has 39 grandchildren, 34 great-grands, and 9 great-great-grandchildren. For her grandson Ovid, his grandmother is a loving, kind person who he says has a good memory.
And she remembered people that committed crime and all of that. She remembered people that had how many children, who was married to who. She still talks on the phone. She knows money. She used to watch Days of Our Life, but now that is no more. She still listens to news. She loves Larry Mears on mornings.
A Barbadian tale which helped to influence the abolition of the slave trade is being brought to light by a distinguished professor from Indiana, USA. Professor of Humanities at Ball State University, Dr. Frank Felsenstein, will be delivering a lecture on the tale Jericho's Flame. This was revealed during a presentation of 2 books to the director of the Barbados Museum and Historical Society, Alessandra Cummings. The professor believes the lecture will be beneficial to all because the tale has great educational value.
What one can learn about is a great deal to do with human behavior. That I think that what this brings out is both the bad qualities which exist in human nature, but ultimately I think the good qualities which are associated with the abolition of the slave trade, the recognition that that such a situation as existed for hundreds of years could not continue. And I think it's something which belongs very much to the heritage of both Europe and the Caribbean.
A member of Jericho Productions, Odisa Andwile, says the tale re-emerged over 200 years ago and has since been brought back to life.
A player called Incan and Jericho was sort of rediscovered, and John Kidd decided that he would do a part of it for the whole season 1997. So Incan and Jericho became a sort of name within the Barbadian cultural landscape. Because we even did a song called Come Let's Dance and Sing. It was very, very popular. But since then, John Kidd keep working on the production and develop Incan and Jericho into a major musical which would be staged next month in London off the West End, and it's called Jericho.
And the lecture will be delivered at the Grand Salle of the Central Bank tomorrow night. Well, in the earlier section of our news, we would have carried the incorrect video to accompany a story about a court appearance today by burglary accused. We now carry the correct video for that story. Several Christchurch men and a young woman have been remanded to Her Majesty's Prison at Dodds. This after appearing in the Oistins Magistrates Court today for multiple counts of burglary and other offences. Now, according to police, 29-year-old Jamal Rohan Omar Lane of First Avenue, Vauxhall, Christchurch, 23-year-old Dario Devon Taylor of Gall Hill, Christchurch, and 30-year-old Edward Shamar Chase of Gall Hill, Christchurch, who were charged for burglary, have each been remanded until February the 16th. In addition, Taylor has been charged with 1 count of robbery and 1 count of serious bodily harm. Police say that 23-year-old Akeem Ricardo Griffith of Montrose, Christchurch, 21-year-old Felicia Chantal Brown of Sunrise Drive, Rice's St. Philip, and 42-year-old Sean Keena Henderson Waldron of First Avenue Station Hill, St. Michael, who were also facing burglary charges, have been remanded to prison until February the 9th. Police say Brown, the lone female, pleaded guilty to a separate case of burglary and was remanded until January 23rd, pending a pre-sentencing report. Lawmen say the 15-year-old juvenile was remanded until February the 9th at the Government Industrial School at Dodds. And still to come, a look at some of the major stories across the region. But first, a reminder that we want to hear from you on this question. Do you think there's still a need for an eminent group on the economy? You can text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the result for you at the end of our news. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CBC_Barbados and on our Facebook page, CBC News Barbados. And now here's a tip from the Coverley Medical Center.
Heart disease can lead to a stroke or heart attack. A cardiac risk assessment, or CRA, will determine